Ladies and squirrels, the one that every true Terran is waiting for. How to take on Protoss' dirty, nasty High Templar in their storms with bio and a little help from tanks, because who doesn't love tanks, right? This terrified me. This Protoss is a cheeky little bastard. And so I think I'm getting Void Ray rushed, even though it's a hallucination, because I'm not used to the fake Void Ray rush. Therefore, I panic, I pull all of my SCVs to run away from that fake Void Ray. I move into Cyclone production, I start getting Mag Field Accelerator. I start doing the typical response to Void Ray All-In. I decide that I'm going to try and send over all my bio to his side to do a counterattack, to counter push the Void Ray push. So this isn't the best attack that one could do with their Marines. I try and stutter step, but then I just kind of leave it because I'm trying to macro up my Cyclones for the inevitable, not inevitable Void Ray rush. Here comes the push. I should have more SCVs to repair the bunker, but again, I thought that the Void Rays would be the main flavor of this attack. Eventually I realized this is the main attack, so I drop my Vikings. I pull over the Cyclones. What you're going to see me do is I have the Cyclones too close, because one of the best parts of Cyclones is this right here. You can pull them away and kite. This allows me to take down the Stalkers without too much trouble. I pull the SCVs because apparently that's a thing you want to do during a heavy attack from Protoss. I sneak right past his army by accident. This is my fault. I should have sent out 3 Marines, one in the middle, left and right, to scout ahead of my advance. But I was getting too caught up in the fight. I was getting really hungry for them kills. Meanwhile, the Protoss is just doing more and more warpins in the middle. I accidentally attack my tank, as is tradition. And now I set up an attack on his third. I pre-split my Marines. I get a little distracted. I'm macroing right here when it's not really the best because I'm doing an assault. You really got to balance too. And now I push in because I realize he doesn't have much to defend. Unfortunately, that force in the middle comes and I get pinched. What you're going to see is the force on the right gets heavily taken out by my Liberators. But everything on the back got destroyed. So, honestly, not a terrible trade, but not ideal. He's got a pretty good army right here. But I've got some ramps covered by depots. His first wave of Zealots rush into battle, which is very good for my favor because that means my army can take them out before dealing with the chunk of his army. Here comes the storm, so I know what I'm dealing with. And there I go. I split up my Marines to the best that I can with the little numbers I have. It's a little bit too late, which is really going to hurt me here because now the Protoss has taken out a lot of my defending army. Storms are killing my reinforcements. I'm not in a hot spot, but I did take out a lot of his army there. This tank on the high ground is doing excellent work. And he's starting to push back a little. This is an overextension on my part. I send in 3 Marines thinking they're going to be able to take out his army. Right here's great because he focuses down the orbital, which just gives me room to have my SCVs repair it. Again, I push with just a few Marines. I realize I'm overextending, so I pull back and try to bait the Protoss army into my tank line. This is why tanks are so great. They're just perfect for defense, even if you're not trying to go full mech. At least having a few tanks to defend your natural and third is fantastic, you know? Absolutely brilliant. Third tank comes up, so I can push the front line forward even more. Again, he's just wasting Templar energy on just 3 Marines, so it's kind of ideal, really. I could probably move that third tank up a little bit, but honestly, right now it's working out perfectly. It's covering both the ramp and the high ground, keeping the Protoss at bay. Tank's doing fantastic damage on the Immortal. My bio units are just kind of buffering for the tank at this point. And the Protoss is just trickling his army into my base rather than forming up another big assault. He thinks that he has me on the ropes, but I'm macroing behind this. If you look in the top left in the production, I've got tanks, medevacs, Marines reinforcing. The Protoss, if you see in the bottom, has an extra bank of 2,500 minerals, 700 gas. So I'm just out producing him here, and that's key. That's key. And that's the hardest thing to do in your bio, but you always got to be producing out of all of your facilities. And that's what keeps you ahead. This attack was rough, and it could have killed me if I focused on my micro too hard, but because I was continuously pumping out Marines, I always had a buffer for the tank, even if it was like 2-3 Marines with goddamn 5 medevacs healing them. And so now I'm recovering. I've got enough room for another command center. I'm going to make that another command center to keep myself ahead in economy. He decides to come in for another attack. My wall wasn't perfect, and I still don't have my pre-splits on my Marines, but here you go, I start moving them. I do move, move, move. I've got 3 little groups of Marines, and then I stem in. I've got a good concave now. They're adequately split, and I've got the 2 tanks hammering on in the back. I even focus fire the tanks to take out the Templar, which just destroys them, and Templar aren't cheap to make, so those are really good trades for just a little bit of bio and 2 tanks. Liberators online. I step toe them forward, so I'm keeping the Protoss from just pushing up the ramp, but I already killed his army there. He pushed in a little bit too hard. I had that concave. I had them reinforcing tanks. So I'm making really good trades here. It's 4 bases to 5 though, so the Protoss is getting an economy lead on me. However, I am moving out my 5th base, and this will give me a forward operating base to launch attacks from, since it's a forward position, and so I don't have to hold just on the high ground anymore. This happens right as the Protoss moves in. My Marines are already split, have a good concave. I should stem them right here, but I'm still a little bit bad with timing my stems, and I think that's why I take such heavy losses here. But the trades aren't terrible. I've still got a good amount of units on the top. I've still got Liberators to zone out. I move in my Liberators from the top right flank into the battle. They get gunned down. Not ideal, but at least they're tanking damage while my Marines and... well, not the tank in the back, while the Marines get some kills. He has his unit sitting right in my Liberator's zone of attack. So, again, big damage. Perfect. And I mop up his attack again. What you're going to learn with bio is these boys, these Marauder boys, are fantastic against Protoss. You really want to be pumping them out, especially as you transition into late game. Set up the tank on the low ground to cover. An advanced position for my Liberators to cover. And I start pushing in my Marines. I decide to wipe out the mineral line, and nothing like destroying a whole entire oversaturated line of probes. And now the Protoss comes in. He shoots right under my Liberators, right into the range of the tank. Gets really disheveled, and I do great damage to him. Not fantastic damage, but trading that little bit of an offensive force for a whole line of minerals, or SC probes, whole line of probes, is fantastic. Meanwhile, I haven't really been touched here. Protoss does move for a counterattack. He delays me from making my 6th command center, which, okay, oh no. He's gonna go right under a planetary fortress, which, sure, you can do that. He attacks under the Liberator and in the range of the planetary fortress, so I destroy that whole army. I cut back his army supply. So again, I'm just chilling, and this shows the balance of offense and defense you can balance between. I take out the mineral workers, I pull back, I stomp his counterattack, and then I move out again now that I know that he's cut back down to a low army supply. His over-offensive warpins in the middle were good in early game. They had me off guard, but now it's just keeping him way out of position to defend these attacks. It sucks when the middle army moves in, because it usually pinches my main army. Like right here, it's going to be caught between some cannons and the main army. But he just hasn't had enough to do any real damage. I move out. And then I know that my people are clumped up, I realize, so I split them a bit. And then I push back in, and by the time that I try to stim into his army, they're already dead. This tank on the high ground has been doing tremendous work. I get a nice spread, just in case there's more Templar. And I haven't been stimming enough here. I've been too focused on microing my tanks and liberators, but when you have mech as support, you do want to get them set up in great positions because mech does great damage. Now comes my reinforcements straight down the middle. They had a great surround on this base, so there's no room to escape for the probes. And I wash them up, I get the GG, there it is. It might not have been purely mech, but this little hybrid force is great for when you're starting off and you're not trying to over micro your Marines and Marauders. Thanks for watching. I've got a playlist on Terran educational commentaries, so feel free to check that out and subscribe for more of these videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.